The next topic is open interest. Now, open interest is the total number of unsettled outstanding, that means not closed derivative contracts held by the market participants at a point of time. It measures the level of activity in the futures or in the options market. Let me give you an example. So we have Mr. A and we have Mr. B. So Mr. A is going long on 5 Nifty futures and Mr. B is taking the opposite position. He is going short on 5 Nifty futures. These two people have not closed their positions are still open. So how many contracts are outstanding or remaining, or they are not settled, or people have not closed their positions? There are 5 such contracts. So the open interest is 5. To add on to this, let's say I have Mr. C and I have Mr. D. Mr. C is going long on 10 contracts. D is going short on 10 contracts. So now there is an addition of 10 new contracts coming into the market. So total we have 15 contracts that are outstanding and that are not closed. So open interest refers to the number of contracts that are currently active in the market. Now Mr. A decides to close his position and Mr. D also decides to close his position on 5 contracts. So if Mr. A long in 5 contracts, he has to close his position. So what Mr. A will do is Mr. A will take a short position on how many contracts? On 5 contracts. Let's say the expiry month is the same. We are talking about March contracts. And we have Mr. D over here. Mr. D also has to close position, but he wants to close only 5. He's having 10 contracts outstanding, but he wants to exit only 5 contracts. He is initially short, so he will go long. He will go long on 5 contracts. The transaction can happen between Mr. A and Mr. D because one party is the short, other party is the long, and number of contracts is the same. So Mr. A and Mr. D have closed 5 contracts. So they have exited their positions from 5 contracts. So now these 5 contracts do not exist. Now the open interest is only 10. From this open interest of 10, if just for your understanding, how many contracts are remaining with how many number of individuals? So C is going long on 10 contracts. D is going short on 5 contracts. And we have Mr. B who is short on 5 contracts. So long is 10, short is 5 plus 5, which is 10. So there are equal number of long and shorts, and the open interest is also 10. So on January 1, Mr. A is buying one futures contract, Mr. B is selling one futures contract. For both of them, the position is open and the open interest is 1. Mr. C is buying 5 futures contracts, D is selling 5 futures contracts. So 5 new contracts are coming into the market. So open interest has gone up 1 plus 5. Now we have 6 outstanding contracts. A decides to exit his position. He is buying one futures, he is selling one futures. D is selling 5 futures. He decides to exit his position in 1 futures. So now D is having only 4 outstanding contracts. So A has exited 1, D has exited 1. We had 6 contracts. 6 minus 1 contract is closed by both the parties. So now only 5 contracts are outstanding. So this is what we were discussing in the previous slide as well. Now I would like to make one new addition over here. So C is currently long in 5 contracts. He wants to exit his position. So C is going to sell his 5 futures contract. But existing parties are not closing their positions. A new party is coming in. Now Mr. E is coming in and he is buying 5 futures contract. So we can say that C is going out and E is taking his position. So C has gone out because he is buying under 5 contracts. He is selling 5 contracts. So his position is closed. E is taking his place. New contract is not coming into the market, only the existing party is getting replaced. So C is getting replaced by E. So that is why there is no change in the open interest. Open interest is remaining as 5. I'll explain this using one more example so that you understand this better. So A has a long position in 5 contracts. B has a short position in 5 contracts. Open interest is 5. A decides to close his position. B decides to do nothing. So A wants to close his position. So what will A do? A will take a short position on 5 contracts. If A is taking a short position, somebody has to take the long position, then only the transaction will happen. Let us say Z is coming into the market. Z is going long on 5 contracts. So one party is short, one party is long. Number of contract is 5, number of contract is 5. The transaction can happen. So A has closed this position. Now, how many contracts are remaining and how many long and short are there? So B is short on 5 contracts, Z is long on 5 contracts, open interest is still 5. Even though a new person is coming into the market, one person is leaving, one person is taking his place. So actually number of contracts are not changing. B is short on 5 contracts, Z is long on 5 contracts, number of contracts open in the market is still 5. Now, how will you use open interest in order to understand the market perception? Or you want to predict what will happen in the market in the coming short period of time. If you want to find that, if you want to predict the market movement in the near future, you can use the open interest. How to use the open interest? If the open interest is very high, that means market is closely watched by the participants. That means there is an active interest in this particular stock. So that is point number one. Open interest is very high, means people are taking active interest in this particular stock. And there is a lot of people who are tracking this particular stock. If the open interest is increasing, yesterday there were 5 contracts, today there are 10 contracts, that means the open interest has gone up. If the open interest has gone up, means new money is flowing into the market. So new people are entering into the market and the current trend is expected to continue. So this is a very important point. If the open interest is going up, that means current trend is expected to continue. If currently the prices are going up or if the trend is bullish, we are expecting this trend to continue in the near future. If the current trend is bearish, then we are expecting that the trend will remain bearish in the near future as well. If the open interest is declining, that means yesterday there were 15 contracts and today there are only 8 contracts. That means the open interest has come down. If the open interest is coming down, it means that the current trend is coming to an end. That means if the market was constantly going up, now it might start facing some resistance. So it might not continue to go up without much struggle. Alternatively, if the market was coming down or it was falling, it will stop falling or it will not fall drastically. So it might face some kind of support. So if the open interest is declining, that means the trend is going to change. If the trend was down, then now the trend can become up or mostly the trend will be neutral. Or let's say the market is going to be flat. If the previous trend was up, that means we can expect the market to be neutral, or let's say the market will face some kind of resistance, or the market could expect some kind of correction as well. So if the open interest is decreasing, then the current trend is coming to an end. And participants are liquidating their positions. That means people are exiting their positions. So if you are long, then you are exiting your position as a long. If you're short, you are exiting the position as a short. Last point, if the open interest remains flat after a substantial price increase, then the open interest indicates that the market is forming a top. So let's say prices are constantly increasing. From 100 it has gone up to 105, from 105 it has gone up to 107, and from 107 it has gone up to 110. So over here, this was the price. Let's talk about open interest. Open interest here is 5. open interest became 10, open interest became 12, open interest is only 12, or let us say it has come down to 11. So if this is the kind of situation where the price is going up, but the open interest is not changing, or the open interest is reducing, or it remains flat, then we say that the market is forming a top. 110 might be some kind of resistance for the near future. So 110 price point could be some kind of a resistance for near term, because the open interest is not increasing. People are not very confident about it. So this is how you will use open interest in order to determine what is the expected trend in the market in the coming future. Let's say today, by evening, how the markets are expected to perform, or tomorrow, how the markets are expected to perform. This is only your opinion for a very short term. It's not an opinion for the long term. So open interest helps you frame short-term market trend related decisions, but it does not help you to frame any kind of long-term or medium-term market related performance. Now we will be comparing open interest with trading volume. Volume refers to the number of transactions that are happening in a particular day. Open interest refers to the number of contracts. For every buy and sell, the volume is 1. If 10 trades are getting executed, then the volume is 10. So I'll explain open interest and trading volume with an example. So Mr. A and Mr. B have entered into a futures trade on a particular date. The transactions are as follows. 9:30 a.m. A is buying 10 contracts, B is selling 10 contracts. So over here volume is 10 because 10 contracts are getting traded. Open interest is also 10 because unsettled contracts are 10 and new contract is initiated. Around 2:30 p.m., A decides to close some of his position and B also decides to close some of his positions. So A was initially long, A is going short on 5 contracts. B was initially short, he is planning to go long on 5 contracts. So both of them have decided to close 5 contracts out of the 10. So in this particular case, the open interest is going to be 5. The open interest has come down because 5 contracts are closed. But this transaction is going to be included when we calculate volume. Volume is going to be 15. So I hope this is clear. If a trade is happening, it is going to be included in volume. Whether it will be included in the open interest or not depends on whether existing participants are closing their positions or they are taking new positions. I'll give you one more example so that you understand this better. So we have Mr. X and we have Mr. Y. X is going long on 20 contracts, Y is going short on 20 contracts. So over here, the open interest is 20. Over here, the volume is also 20. Now, X has decided to go short on 10 contracts. Z is going to go long on 10 contracts. I want you to take your time and tell me how much will be the open interest and how much will be the volume. Pause the video over here, solve it, and then you can continue the video. The open interest is going to remain at 20 and the volume is 30. How the open interest is 20, I'll explain it. Y is having a short position on 20 contracts. X is having a long position on 10 contracts. Initially, he had long position in 20, but he has closed 10. Z has taken a long position in 10 contracts. So there are equal number of long and shorts. So open interest is 20. But this is a new trade. That is why it is going to be included in volume. So volume is 30. So this is how you are able to calculate open interest and volume. And this is the difference between open interest and trading volume.